Okay, so I'm going to just do a couple of drawings in preparation for this painting. It's always a good idea. We don't want to dive right in, start the painting, and then try and fix up bad drawing problems later on. So I have a black and white version of my drawing here. And you might notice what's interesting is one of the main things that caught us about the scene was the colours of the sky, the blues, and we don't see them at all. So one of the main features of the whole painting, which is the colours, aren't really apparent in the tonal studies. But this is what really underpins the entire painting. So it's very important that we study this. I've done a small little value drawing there with markers just to pick out the main values. So I just want to talk very briefly about planes. So what we have is we have a vertical plane, which is represented by the boat and the rocks. They're the things that are rising up from the landscape, and they tend to be the darkest things in the scene. I know we've got a small little accent of light here, but in terms of masses and big shapes, they would be the darkest things in the landscape. Then we have the vertical planes, which is the water, and that's reflecting ambient light from the sky. So that turns up as a middle value. And then your sky is always the lightest mass. You can get lighter details, but the sky is the lightest mass. So the next thing I want to do is a detailed drawing looking at this boat. Okay, so there's on your file there's a version of this with a blown up version of the boat, so you can really see what's going on. And because it's such a strong feature in this painting, I want to really understand the shapes on it. So I'm going to draw a little cube. If we imagine the light coming from this side, then we get this side in shadow. Now imagine if we're at eye level with that box, what we're going to get is this. So the light will be coming from this direction, we'll see light and we'll see shadow. And that's really important for what we're going to be doing on this boat, because if you imagine there's a series of boxes or cubes all stacked on top of each other. And just to show you, here's the bottom of our boat. The hull. Imagine it as one long rectangle, just like that, but being stretched out. If we then just chop the end off, we've got a boat shape. If I come up to the what we call the superstructure, which is all the building stuff on top, we've got the same. We've got a large rectangle, and then we have a slightly smaller rectangle, and then we have a very narrow rectangle. 3 rectangles all on top of each other. What we do is just alter that shape slightly so it comes in, rises to the right at the top, it falls back out to the right at the bottom, and there's our shape. We've got a large rectangle at the back where the ramp is. And then we have a very long, thin rectangle at the top for the bridge. And in terms of shading it in then, we've got 2 main values. Sorry, one last thing, I forgot the funnels, which are also rectangles, but I think they're slightly pushed into the triangular. And then 2 funnels on the top. In terms of shading, we've got 2 main values. We've got a darker hull, and then we've got all the light stuff that's painted white on the top. So with regards to the darker part, we've got let's shade it all in sort of not a black but a darkish tone to start with. Now if you imagine of that dark part, this right side of the hull, which is in shadow, is even darker. Okay, so we have a relative dark and light. The ramp is also dark. Then for the structure on the top, we have a light and a dark. but the overall thing is lighter in value. So our dark on the white part of the boat is almost the same value as the light on the dark blue part of the boat. So we can shade all of those in with a middle grey, also the funnels, and now our boat's starting to come alive, starting to work. So all that's left to do then is accents and detail. So one of the things we have is we have a shadow cast underneath that boat. We have a couple of waves creating different kind of an undulating pattern there. We have dark boxes inside these sort of hollow parts of the boat here. Then we have accents and detail. So just a suggestion of some windows. Dark funnels as well. And then we have the boat drawn out. It gives us real good insight into how we're going to paint this, how we approach it in paint.